do, do, do.
I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati. I'm your host, sabrinasalvati.
All right, all right. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sabby Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, I want to let you know that Sabby Sabs podcast is a part of Revolutionary Blackout Network. You can catch me there on Thursday for the Sabby and JB show, and you can catch me here on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, Rockfin, Twitter, and Rumble. And welcome back, guys. I see Chris Smalls is here. Chris, I'll bring you in just a second. Really quick, I do want to show you guys what we are discussing tonight. It is going to be one heck of a show. We have quite a bit to get into. There have been crazier times, but here we go. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing, of course, Chris Smalls is here with us. We're going to hear about his trip on the Hondola and so much more. We are also going to discuss, this is an interesting story that is developing. Apparently, Bill and Hillary Clinton have been subpoenaed for the Jeffrey Epstein files. We're going to get into that bizarre story. We're also discussing Norm Finkelstein and Cornell West had a debate over whether or not we should care for those in Israel. We'll get into that discussion. There is breaking news today about ZOHRAN Mamdani. I called it ZOHRAN Climbs, but then something else happened earlier today. It appears that ZOHRAN has outed Andrew Cuomo, secretly trying to work with apparently Donald Trump. We're going to get into that story. And last but not least, Jeremy Corbyn in the UK has started a new party, and it appears that it is gaining. Those are the stories we're getting into tonight. But first and foremost, we're going to bring in our special guest. If you don't know him by now, his name is Chris Smalls. He is the co-founder of the Amazon Labor Union, and he was just recently on the Hondola to give aid to Gaza. He is back. We are glad that he is back and safe. Let's go ahead and bring him in. What is going on, Chris?
Hey, how you doing? Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. We were very worried about you. Very worried. And I guess I want to start with this. Many people saw that you co-founded the Amazon labor union and the fight that you had against Amazon and applauded your efforts there. And a lot of people saw, well, he accomplished this great feat. He went after Amazon. He went after the giant. And many people probably look back and they say, well, he could have just relaxed there. Like he could have just written all these books or taken whatever deals came his way. But you didn't do that. After October 7th, you expanded basically your activism for the pro-Palestine movement. And then you proceeded to volunteer on the Hondola. Can you explain to everybody, why did you decide to get involved there? Why did you decide to volunteer for the Hondola and not just basically, some people are asking, like, just kick back after the labor win? Oh, we can't hear you. We heard you at first and now we can't hear you.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just connecting the dots. Amazon has US Amazon Web Services is Israel's Iron Dome, essentially, and their military and industrial intelligence. It's participating in the surveillance and targeting of innocent Palestinians with that technology, and they invested $7.2 billion, which is called the Project Nimbus, along with other corporations. So they're absolutely connected to this struggle, and for me as a labor leader, as you mentioned. My goal is to apply pressure to other labor unions who haven't passed zero resolutions since October 7th and still continue to ship arms and manufacture weapons for Israel.
That's right. That's a really good point there, Chris. And then also your experience on the Hondola. We heard about what happened to you when the IDF boarded the ship. What exactly, if you could go through the details of that, what exactly happened when they boarded the ship? Oh, can you hear me? Oh, hold on.
Like the powers.
We can hear you. Can you? Uh-oh, we lost Chris. He'll probably come back. Could be a connection issue because I think he's using his phone. But we'll give him a couple minutes. He'll be able to come. Here he comes. Okay.
I'm sorry about that. I think my service is going in and out. I'm at the station right now.
Oh, no worries. Are you using Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to use it for StreamYard, just FYI.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I took it off already. Yep.
Okay, so what happened when the IDF boarded the Hondola?
So yeah, just like the Madeleine, they come in the middle of the night. They what people saw up until the point where they pulled the cameras down, they cut communications off from the rest of the world. They don't want everybody to see this. And basically they detained us until we arrived at the port of immigration, a port of Assad in the morning. For about 12 hours, we had to stay on deck with our hands up or pretty much sleep uncomfortable until we arrived at the port to be transferred over to the port authorities.
What did they say to you when they boarded the ship?
They announced that they were getting on board, not to move or keep your hands up. They even announced and acknowledged that we were on a hunger strike. Surprisingly, they couldn't do their propaganda. They actually came on with a camera crew. They wanted to take pictures like they did with Greta with sandwiches and water, but they knew that we were on a hunger strike, so they announced that, and that I guess that killed that propaganda. But they still were eager, trying to give us food throughout the night, trying to offer us water, but we didn't accept it. And once we were transferred over to the authorities at immigration, the same thing. They met us at the docks with a camera crew right there.
Very interesting. And then they treated you differently than the other volunteers that were on that boat. So was everyone detained by the IDF, or were you the only one that was detained?
No, we all was detained um until we were transferred over to immigration. And from there we getting processed to be either deported or if you elect to go see the judge that's gonna send you to prison. So I believe 14 of us decided that we were going to see the judge, and the other seven were deported immediately.
Okay. And then they decided to beat you. Now, did this I guess what we're trying to figure out, did that happen in
When did
front
that
of the
happen?
other? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it didn't happen in front of the others. The way it happened was they when we got to the dock, the IOF, they transfer us over one by one to the immigration. They call us off by countries. They left the Americans for last, and the seven of us. But I was one of the last to get off. I might have been like second or third from last. And as I was walking towards the building, they had all these cameras in our faces. So I cursed them out pretty much, saying that I don't consent to any of these cameras and pictures. I covered my face, and then next thing I know, they sent seven authorities and they threw me to the ground. And that's when they put their knee in my back, they twisted my arms behind my back, and three men on each side levitated me while one was pulling my hair and my chains, choking me to the point where I couldn't breathe. And at the same time, he was choking me. He was telling me to shut up repeatedly. Then they brought me into a separate room away from the rest of the crew members. I was isolated and I was guarded by five guards the entire time throughout the entire process. So they didn't want me to interact or speak or anything the entire time until I was transferred over to prison.
Chris, Max Blumenthal was here recently, and he's been to Gaza multiple times. Max Blumenthal said that the Israelis are incredibly racist, even to the Ethiopians that live in Israel.
Yes, I can attest to that. The prison that we was in was full of Ethiopians. They didn't want us to see. They had us isolated from them. They put a curtain up or a wall, a barrier up every day. We were at the last two cells. But we saw as we walked through, I know I paid attention to who was in there, and it was full of Ethiopians and full of Filipinos as well.
There were Filipinos there?
Yeah, yeah, that actually was.
That is very, very, very interesting. We were worried when we heard about what happened to you. We were just hoping that you could get back home safely. And you were greeted by a great crowd of people waiting for you at the airport. Were you expecting that? Were you surprised when you got off the plane and you saw all the people there for you?
It's everything I could have envisioned while I was in prison. That was all I was thinking about was getting back home to my family, my mom, definitely my kids. And I was really happy to see my union there. My entire union at that was there. So it was really, really humbling to see that. And the community, New York City, some of the folks I met along my journey protesting, some of the students that's organizing some of these different organizations that I always been showing solidarity for, they actually showed up for me. And then to see people come in from all over the country, from LA, from DC, from Boston, that was just really really a blessing to see that, and I'm really happy and grateful.
So, Chris, like some of the treatment that you described from the IDF, I would say is similar to the treatment that the NYPD has given towards people in New York. And there is a relationship there for those who are not aware, where a lot of these police officers have been trained by the IDF. So, the same type of terror that you see abroad, you see that here in the United States as well. What has the reception been like from local politicians? Have you heard anything from, for example, Zoran Mandami, AOC, any of the New York politicians? Have they reached out to you?
No, no, absolutely not. They choose to ignore it, but it's okay. I mean, I think people have noticed that. And it's a shame, but I always say this, that politicians will never be our saviors. So it didn't matter whether they reached out or not. I already know how far their help is going to go or support. And I always know that the community is what matters most. We have to save ourselves. So, the work that we're doing is directly affecting people every day. It's not going to be our politicians.
I agree with you there. Were you surprised that AOC and Bernie Sanders in particular, who came out after you won the unionization for Amazon, have said nothing?
I mean, I guess I rubbed them the wrong way. So, it is what it is with me. I'm not the average union president that just endorsed Democrats. I've been very vocal about my opposition on their politics, especially being pro-Palestine from the very beginning. We don't align, so it is what it is. They choose to ignore it, and that's fine. But it just shows people who they really are, and I hope people see that. And there's no sugarcoating it. Like I said, everybody, unless you was under a rock, everybody knew or got a wind of what's going on, especially with my captivity. So there's no way they have no excuse for it, but I'll let the people decide what to do with that.
Yeah, we definitely all saw. We are all aware. What would you say to if you could speak to other union leaders like Sean Fain, for example? What would you say to him about the pro-Palestine movement?
Well, I know he's been disrupted before by his own rank and file about that. So I wouldn't really have to say much, really I would say more of I don't agree with the fact that he agrees with Trump's tariffs that caused 30,000 union members in Canada to lose their jobs. So that's what I would say. And then I will also, um, I encourage his rank and file members and any rank and file member of all of these unions that have been complicit to do something about it. Everybody has an opportunity right now to play a role in this fight, and now they are very aware of what's going on. And we got to hold the unions accountable who have been very complicit or participating. It's just that simple.
I totally hear you. And I do want to make this announcement for those who have not seen. This is from Sarah Wilkerson. She said 44 countries will launch the largest civilian flotilla of ships in an effort to challenge the illegal Israeli blockade, and then another, and then another. Chris, I'm sure you've heard about this. How do you feel about it? That more countries, more people want to stand up and will step up and volunteer.
That's what we need. That's exactly what we need. I'm happy to be a part of the coalition. And in the future, I'll be able to join another mission. I know this one, I'm not one and done. And I'm wishing them the best of luck, and I hope that they break their legal shoes that Israel has imposed. Because enough is enough. We have to do it now.
Right. We do have to do it now. Another question that I had for you. I saw in an interview before you went on the Hondola, you said that you didn't want your kids to grow up in a world or the world like it is today. I'm sure your kids are very proud of you.
Yeah, they are. They're at that age where they are definitely paying attention to everything around them and worldly events. And they were the first phone call I made when I got back home. I didn't get to see them yet because I did contract scabies and I want to be on the safe side, so I had to get that taken care of. But I'm looking forward to hugging them again. That's everything that I look forward to when I was in prison.
What would you say, like some of the things that you saw, the solidarity there on the Hondola? You have people from all different countries. I believe 7 Americans there. What would you say about that solidarity?
Oh man, when you live with these people on the water, on an open graveyard, where one mistake can kill everybody, it's a special type of bond, and definitely family oriented. We had the grandmother of the ship, Vigils, who was 70, who I attached myself to, and even protected while we was in captivity. Um, it was things like that, moments like that, where that got us through together. We had to build a special bond in a family because we were going into a life or death situation where we know in the past they've killed, 10 activists. So to go into that, we all had to be on a certain level, and we were.
And the fact that the IDF soldiers came when they got on the boat, they tried to give all of you food just goes to show you how easily they could give food to people in Gaza, but they're choosing not to. Netanyahu has made a recent announcement that he is going to, or Israel is going to occupy all of Gaza, which I believe was the plan from the get-go prior to October 7th. They wanted this to happen. What do you say to people back home, Chris? What do you say to people in New York that may not be as focused on this issue, or may say, well, it's foreign policy, it's over there, it's not happening here?
Well, I would say that's just that's smoke and mirrors because everything that's happened in foreign policy obviously is affecting us here at home, especially if our taxpaying dollars, billions of dollars is going towards this genocide when we're over here struggling, living check to check. Meanwhile, the folks over there, Israel, they get universal health care, they get to go to college for free, and that's off of our expenses. There's no way that people shouldn't be outraged. And on top of that, we have to escape the two-party system. I mean, these last elections have proven once again how there's a disconnect between the working class and our government. And it's not going to be our government that's going to correct it. It's going to be the people. So I'm hoping that with this mission, with the Handela and future missions, that we continue to spread awareness, especially to American citizens who money is going towards this genocide.
That's right. I know we've been criticizing the two-party system for quite some time. And speaking of that, I'm curious. You mentioned one time before when you were on RBN about the Labor Party. Do you think we need a Labor Party in the U.S.?
Absolutely. I mean, I see what my brother Jeremy Corbyn is doing. He already endorsed me with my Labor Party. I endorse him with his Your Party. And I was absolutely happy and floored when I came home and I saw that the numbers on my Labor Party page has quadrupled. So I know that people are looking for a home, and that's something that I'm going to be working hard for to build over the next 2 or 3 years, so we can get it on the ticket for 28.
That sounds awesome, Chris. I know people are looking forward to other options. And then another thing that crossed my mind, you really did risk a lot after you won the unionization with Amazon. I remember they brought you on to all these different shows, like even like late night talk shows, etc. Like everybody wanted to know, like, how did you do it? When you started to, announce your support for Gaza, what happened after that?
Oh, it's a wave of cancel culture, so to speak. I pretty much I didn't get booked for the entire year with speaking engagements. I lost, opportunities that I probably wouldn't even imagine. And I lost tens of thousands of followers overnight, whether it was Twitter, Instagram, a combination of the both. Yeah, that was right in the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I think some people may not realize. Like you stood to lose a lot, right? But you did it anyway. And I think a lot of people wouldn't have taken that chance. They would just been like, oh, I'm just going to be silent on this issue, as some people have, like DJ Khaled, for example.
I was
Very
about to
silent.
say, they go DJ Khaled. I could have pulled the DJ Khaled for sure. But no.
Very, yeah, very, very silent about this issue, but you're fighting the good fight. And I got to tell you, there are a number of people that watch the show. Everybody was so proud of you. They're like, oh my gosh, Chris Smalls is out there. This is great. This is like amazing. And I want people to look up to people like you. I want people to look up to people, everybody that was on like the Honda boat. I want people to look up to people like you guys, not like politicians. That's my
Yeah,
goal.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, it's another conversation. It's just like, um, even though it's focused on me, I always want to point it back to the Palestinian people. What I experienced was just a fraction of it. I can't imagine what they're going through. And that's what the real story should be is that these people are out there suffering every day. And the world is watching. We have to figure out something immediately.
Well, Chris, in New York, where you are, it appears that things are shifting. More people, and the polls are showing more Jewish voters, in particular younger ones, are not supporting Andrew Cuomo or Eric Adams or Silwa. The majority are supporting Mamdani. There is a shift that seems to be happening. There was a report that was announced recently that moderate Democrats like Richie Torres are concerned about where they should stand at this moment because there is a shift away from the whole pro-Israel politics. To me, that says that the activism has been working. I know some people are disappointed. A lot of us been out there protesting, and people are just kind of like, they're still killing people in Gaza. And I think that when times look grim like that, it's important to point out the positives, which is that a lot of people have woken up, and that includes some Trump supporters, by the way, who are not happy with what is happening in Gaza. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that people like Richie Torres are wondering if they have to change their message a little bit?
Yeah, that's definitely um, a step in the right direction. Everybody has a role to play, and whether you're going to do direct action, whether you take to the streets and protest, whether you're students that's building encampments, it's all helping the cause, uplifting the Palestinian people, and that's what we have to do. We have to do this as a collective, and it's going to be all different people, all different backgrounds, all different organizations that contribute to this movement. And like I would tell my comrades, even the flotilla mission, it's not going to be for everybody. I can tell you now from my own experience that 95% of the people probably wouldn't make it past training because you're once again have to prepare yourself mentally that you could die and not come back home, and there be no accountability for the IOF. And you're going to prison in some of the most inhumane conditions. So it's not something that's like a joyride or something that's like a average protest. This is life or death, and this is something that once again, if I'm a leader, my job is to activate activists to get active, and vice versa. If you're an activist, the time is now that we all have to get active. So that's all we have to do is continue to contribute in whatever way you feel that you can.
And speaking of getting active, this is something everyone needs to know about. Chris may be aware of this as well, but there is a campaign for Free Mohammed Ibrahim. He's a 15-year-old American that has been kidnapped by the IOF. They are demanding that the U.S. intervene for his release from Israel's illegal detention. Something else about him, for those who are not aware, when he was taken, he weighed 108 pounds. Since that time, he has lost 22 pounds, bringing him down to 86 pounds. The family's ordeal has only gotten worse since Muhammad has been abducted. Israeli settlers beat Muhammad's cousin, who was a 20-year-old American citizen, Safallah Kamal Masalat. They beat him to death on July 11th, 2025, so not too long ago. After his murder, U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee told the family that Muhammad should never have been arrested and promised to secure his release. But the ambassador has done nothing, as Muhammad has not been released and weeks have passed with no progress. He is one of 6 U.S. citizens killed by Israeli forces or settlers since October 2023. Eric, if you can share this link with people in the chat. This is another one, right? Like there are Americans there that have been kidnapped by the IOF, and our government isn't saying anything about it. They're not acting to get them out.
Same.
Yeah, same thing. They're not acting. They're not trying to get them out. Did anybody, Chris? Do you know if anyone reached out? Did any, like when you guys were detained? Did you hear? Did anybody reach out to the Freedom Flotilla?
From the U.S. Embassy, um, unfortunately, nobody from the U.S. Embassy, no politician that I'm aware of reached out. I know I've seen there was some posts from Summer Lee. Thank you for that. Shout out to Summer Lee and Rashida Tlaib. But I haven't saw much from any other politician, and especially from the U.S. Embassy or the U.S. consulate that's in Tel Aviv. We didn't get anybody in person. Everybody else country showed up. All their embassies showed up. Their consulates showed up for them. But the U.S. did nothing, and that's another thing that needs to be called out.
Has anyone tried to threaten you or target you since you got home?
Threaten me? No. I mean, we didn't break any law. So, I don't I don't think that would be smart. If anything, I'm trying to seek some legal action for what happened to me, whether I got to go through the ICC, and if I can, I'm going to try to do it.
That's what I was going to ask. If you guys are going to be trying to seek any type of legal action, I think that would be best if you can. But we are very, very proud of you. And it's obvious that our politicians are serving Israel and not the American people. In fact, I couldn't end on a sour note. I have to show this. I thought this would bring a humor to things. I don't know who made this, but I thought it was hilarious that
Yeah,
people just
yeah. The internet is undefeated. It's crazy.
I had to do it. I had to do it. Okay. All right. Chris, anything else that you got coming up?
Um, no, I mean, I'm going to try to rest for the remainder of the month. I got to listen to my mom and chill out. But I'll definitely be back in the streets as soon as possible. So there's a lot of things that I have working on, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much. And again, we are very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris Smalls. He is busy. He's got lots going on, ladies and gentlemen. Again, like I told you guys, we got to make sure that we're standing up for everybody, but also these Americans. Again, Eric, if you can put the link to this in the chat so people can share this with others. Americans there that have been kidnapped and no intervention from the U.S. government. So again, free Mohammed Ibrahim as well. These are the kind of people you should look up to, guys, like the activists, like people like Chris, not like the politicians, not celebrities, people who were willing to go out there and put their life on the line. And I think Chris Smalls has a really good point. Like volunteering for the Freedom Flotilla, you do have to go in with the mindset that you may not make it back. And I think that's courageous. It takes a lot to be able to do something like that. So we applaud Chris, and we look forward to seeing more from him. All right, ladies and gents, we have quite a bit to get into tonight. But first and foremost, if you haven't had a chance to do so, go ahead and smash the like. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and give a shout out to patrons. We'll get to the chat and then we'll continue on with the other stories there, fam. I want to give a shout out to everyone who is a Sabby patron. Thank you guys so much for your support. You're holding on the lights around me, the lights around me. If you're interested in being a Sabby patron, I have 5 categories. Ultimate. Don't forget about Sabinators. We also have a group called Sabsters. They're pretty cool too. We have Sabbies, and they're not too shabby. And we also have a group called Members. All of their names are listed here, and you can also see their names scrolling across the bottom of the screen there on the ticker. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate you, fam. Hey, hey, hey. All right, guys. Tonight's theme is Running with the Devil. It was a song by Van Halen, but it's also the theme of tonight's show. And I want you to ask yourself, after each of these stories, are any of these people running with the devil? That's what you need to ask. Let's go to some of the comments, ladies and gents. All right, JB says, hello, everyone. Respect and appreciation for Christian Smalls for what he did, and he has inspired many of us to fight harder for liberation of all marginalized people. I can't wait to shake his hand. That's right, JB. Thank you. Betavirus, sorry. Free Palestine, love your show. Blank, blank to the IDF. Thank you. Thank you, Nia. Much respect to you, Chris. Thank you. Thanks, Perry. The unions could help bring Israel down by refusing to handle Israel goods and not loading or unloading El Al Airlines, but they won't. It's a good point. Thank you, Skylar. God bless you, Chris Smalls. Thanks, Rosemary. Thank you, Sabby, for keeping us informed. Keep up the good fight, Chris. Thanks, P. Smith. Zohran got married at his family posh estate in Uganda. Too bad he didn't stay in Uganda to help those in extreme poverty instead of coming here. Interesting there. And thank you, Wis313. Chris Smalls and the Honda crew will be remembered for this. Yes, they will. Let's get the comment on Rumble. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Chris, for exposing yourself to that abuse. That abuse, your action brings us one step closer. All right, all right. Thank you, guys. Hey, hey, hey. Okay, ladies and gents, we have quite a bit to get into. Again, the theme is running with the devil, and I think it's very clear in this first story that we want to cover. So now it appears that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are among a few that have been subpoenaed in reference to the Jeffrey Epstein files. Is it possible that Bill and Hill were running with the devil? I don't know. We shall find out. But people have had their suspicions for quite some time. And it all starts with this footage that we can see something new now. We're going to go back to that Jeffrey Epstein camera footage, which is now showing another figure that apparently was not shown in the video footage that was presented by Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. And I'm bringing up this video because there used to be this running joke, maybe it's still around there somewhere, where people were like, oh, it was the Clintons that killed Jeffrey Epstein. Now, we don't know. But I do think this is kind of interesting. You know, I mean, this video here, it was shared on CBS Mornings. I'm surprised they showed it on CBS Morning, but they did. Watch this and pay close attention to the left portion of the screen here. Listen to this.
You will recall Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell in 2019, and it was ruled a suicide. Recently, the Justice Department released security video from the jail. One official called it raw footage, but we looked into it. Scott McFarland reports from Washington on what we found.
This was the nearly 11-hour video agents reviewed when they investigated the death of convicted child predator Jeffrey Epstein. Government officials say it's proof that no one entered his cell tier. Malfunctioning equipment meant only one camera recorded the general area, and that camera captured part of the common area, including the officer's station and a sliver of the staircase leading to Epstein's cell. Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino.
There's video clear as day. He's the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it.
CBS News has reviewed the tape, and this is what it shows. The primary entrance is here. The pathway from the entrance to the stairs is completely out of view of the camera, leaving ample room for someone to enter unseen. This is the last time Epstein is believed to have been seen on camera, but we don't see him walking up the stairs to his cell. Bongino also said none of this video was doctored. It was the original raw footage from the camera.
We're going to give the original so you don't think there were any shenanigans.
But a review by multiple video forensic experts found several indications this may not be raw footage.
You don't say. What did we tell you guys, right? What did we tell you?
For example, at 11:21 p.m., a cursor appears briefly, indicating the video may have actually been a recording of a computer screen. Experts told CBS News the video's metadata, which tracks how a file is created and changed, shows it's made from two clips edited together. Then, at 11:58 p.m., the video suddenly jumps to midnight, and the aspect ratio shifts. Here's U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
There was a minute that was off the counter, and what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
But a government source familiar with the probe told CBS News the FBI and other agencies are in possession of a copy of the video that records with no interruption.
These inconsistencies, while not contradicting the conclusion Epstein died by suicide, do introduce questions that the government so far has declined to answer. The department.
First of all, I am highly surprised that this was on CBS Morning. I'm highly shocked that they looked into this.
Department of Justice, Adriana, has not responded to our request for comment.
Wow, Scott, thank you so much. And we recommend everyone go to cbsnews.com. Scott has a full 10-minute breakdown of this video, and it is eye-opening. That is what I'm going to be doing.
Very interesting, huh, ladies and gentlemen? Right? And people who questioned the narrative, they were called conspiracy theorists, etc. You guys know how this goes. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you that, again, because that saying that went on for a long time, that, oh, it was the Clintons that got to Jeffrey Epstein. Somebody got to him, etc. Really interesting, considering now Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are among a few that have been subpoenaed because of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Let's go ahead and get into it, ladies and gents.
But first, breaking tonight, the House committee investigating documents surrounding the Jeffrey Epstein case is now going after some big names. The committee has issued subpoenas to former President Bill Clinton, former presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, and several top law enforcement officials. Also tonight, former Deputy Chief of Staff to then President Biden appeared voluntarily before the same House panel probing an alleged cover-up of President Biden's mental health. Senior national correspondent Aisha Hasni reports from Capitol Hill tonight on these two investigations. Good evening, Aisha.
Brett, good evening to you. You know, the Biden investigation really divided Democrats and Republicans, but Republicans now say this fresh Epstein probe is such a bipartisan effort that even the Clintons may not be able to escape it. Tonight, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton are facing congressional subpoenas to testify in person about Jeffrey Epstein. The House Oversight Committee summoning the Clintons and 8 former FBI directors and attorneys.
Pause. I just want to show everybody who's on here. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Garland, Merrick Garland, Comey, General Barr, General Gonzalez, General Sessions, Director Mueller, General Lynch, and of course, General Holder. Damn, I ain't seen Eric Holder in a hot minute. But these are the people that have been subpoenaed. So pay close attention. But yes, Hillary and Bill. And what's interesting about this is that they said that they will be, I guess, testifying in person. So this should be hilarious. I might have to cover that live. No matter what time of day it is, I might have to cover that live. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to see what they're going to say, especially when I show you the pictures. They have now entered Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan home. So you can see some of the pictures that were in that home. We're going to get into that as well. These individuals, Bill and Hill, and more so Bill, definitely had quite a close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Attorneys General spanning from the Bush era to the Biden White House. The historic move comes as pressure grows on Republicans and the Trump administration to release the Epstein files, and as President Trump points his finger away from himself.
By the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times.
Clinton has denied that, but Oversight Chairman James Comer tells Fox he's got questions.
Well, were you ever at Epstein Island? How many times did you go to Epstein Island? What was your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
No former president has ever come to the Hill for a deposition, but Comer says the Clintons will have a hard time dodging this one since the left wants answers too.
This is going to be big, you guys. This is going to be big because this particular story or this particular situation is not just something that the Republicans want. This is something that Democrats also want, right? Like Democrats like Ro Khanna. I think Ro Khanna was the first person to bring it forward recently, saying like, let's go after them, pressure them about the Epstein files. So this is something that both parties, politicians on both sides have been pushing for. So I don't know where Bill and Hill really going to stand with this. Now, of course, I think Democrat leadership will find ways to support them and to defend them, but it don't look good. I'm telling you right now, it don't look good for Bill or Hill. Hill and Bill.
Last week, 4 Democrats on an oversight panel voted with 3 Republicans to subpoena the Justice Department for the Epstein files. Democrats are looking for one name.
Donald Trump is clearly going to do everything that he can to minimize the impact to him. but yet he's involved in the cover-up, and we believe Republicans are helping in that right now.
That investigation gets underway as another pushes ahead. Mr. Reed, did you think that the president was competent to serve? Former Biden Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy Bruce Reed sitting in for his closed-door interview today over the alleged cover-up of President Biden's decline. Reed was part of a small group of decision makers who hid Biden, according to the book Original Sin. Advisors who have all, so far, defended Biden's competency to be the commander-in-chief. And Brett, tonight, a source familiar with Reed's deposition tells us that he basically defended the former president, blamed his poor debate performance on his stutter, and said the White House physician, Dr. Kevin O'Connor, who pled the fifth during his deposition, basically dismissed any cognitive tests as merely meaningless. The next person that is set to appear before the committee is Senior Communications Advisor Anita Dunn this Thursday. Right.
The Bill and Hill thing, I'm telling you, like, people are not going to stay tuned, okay? Is it possible that the Clintons have been running with the devil? Now, we can go through the history, but Bill Clinton has had a number of accusations against him in the previous years. Like, it's not just Monica Lewinsky. Of course, that's the most well-known one. But even when he was governor in Arkansas, there were women there that came out against Bill Clinton, and they accused him of sexual assault. That's not a secret. One of them, I believe, named Juanita, I believe she called into the Hill Rising many years ago when Crystal and Sagar were still hosting Rising. So this type of behavior would not be new for Bill Clinton, because he has been accused by people before. And even though Monica Lewinsky wanted a relationship with them, and according to her, this was consensual, there was still that power dynamic where she was an intern at the White House and he was the president of the United States. Like, obviously, conflict of interest, and you're freaking married. So there's that too. So this is not going to be that. That's why I just say, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that testimony, and I sincerely hope that is covered. That if that is covered, I don't care what time of day it is, I will cover that live, because I want to see the look on their face. And another damn thing I want to mention to you guys, I really believe that Hillary Clinton has known for a long time that her husband was like this. I do not believe that Hillary was surprised about the call out about the affair with Monica Lewinsky. I believe that women like Hillary Clinton know what their husband, she knew that Bill Clinton got around. I don't think that was a secret. I think that Bill Clinton, this is something that he had been doing for a long time. Monica wasn't the first, according to all the other women that have come out against Bill Clinton over the years. So I think this is something that she knew. She knew that Bill Clinton was a womanizer, that he liked to sleep around. And I believe that Hillary Clinton, it's something that she was willing to tolerate in order to get to where she wanted to in her own political career. Believe it or not, there are women that do this. And so what was one of her dreams and aspirations? She wanted to be president of the United States. One of the easiest pathway of doing that is to have your husband become president of the United States first, which I believe she probably pushed. I believe this was all her. I believe that was all her plan. Bill will get you in as governor. Bill will get you in as president. And then this would open the door for her. The next thing we know, she has a Senate seat. She's in the Senate. And then, they're pumping up her to run for president. So the loss that Hillary Clinton had in 2016, that was not supposed to happen in her book. She had this all planned and written out. But I believe that Hillary Clinton knew for a long time. I just don't believe that this was a secret for her. I really don't. Now, do I believe that anything is going to happen to them legally? Probably not. Probably not. I mean, they're powerful people. They know the right people. But this testimony in person should be rather interesting. And I say that to say this. Believe it or not, they actually got a look inside of Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan home. Look at this. I want to show you, because they show you the pictures. Watch this.
From 2000 of Donald Trump with his then girlfriend, Melania now. Sure, that's one person. Bill Clinton and Epstein and another. Epstein with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed.
You hear that? The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, there was Bill Clinton, there was pictures of him and Donald Trump. So again, like, you don't have pictures in your home of you with other people that you don't know, right? So these are people that Jeffrey Epstein definitely had a relationship with, but we all you heard the Crown Prince of Saudi, that raises some eyebrows too.
Mohammed bin Salman, that picture also there, just to name a few. Front Now, Steve Eater, investigative reporter for the New York Times, who obtained these photographs. And Steve, it's incredible reporting. I mean, the famous people that Epstein had on display came from vastly different worlds, right? There was politics, entertainment, tech. I mentioned a few, but really only a few, because I know that there were others. When we talk about some of the most important people in the world that were photographed with him and shown in his apartment, who else?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me here to talk about the piece. Yeah, it's a real collection, as you said, of powerful people, of business people, of people in entertainment. So you had, anyone from Steve Bannon to Mick Jagger to Elon Musk, a pope, mixed in there. And I think, if you look at the photographs and think about this, it was, an attempt by Jeffrey Epstein to sort of show the degree of people that he could be acquaintances with, to be friendly with, and to have them in his life, and that he had that.
Mick Jagger. Does it move like Jagger? Do you have moves like Jagger? Right?
That access.
Right, to show that access. Obviously, many of those pictures weren't taken actually in the townhouse itself, but they were displayed there, right? So the people would come through, would be awed by him and impressed by him. So those photos are there. And then, you've been through this actual massive townhouse in Manhattan. What is it, 40 rooms? And you've been in perhaps one of the most horrible ones, definitely one of the most horrible ones there. The massage room, located in a suite of rooms connected to Epstein's bedroom. That massage room where Epstein was said to have assaulted some of his victims. And, look, in light of what we have now learned, that room, I'm sure you having been in there, is unfortunately very meaningful. What did you see?
Yeah, well, just to clarify, through the photographs, we were able to get a view into the home, not through a tour of the home of some sort. But just, what we did see, so on that floor that you're referring to, this is part of a 21,000 square foot home. And, what we learned through this is, on the third floor, there was basically this like suite that included Epstein's bedroom. It included bathrooms, but there was also, the massage room. We found, through the photographs, that there were multiple cameras that had been mounted in these adjoining rooms. Not necessarily that we could tell in the massage room itself, but the massage room, there were paintings of naked women. For example, a silver ball and chain were among the kinds of things that we could see that were visible.
We have to pause here for a second. Did anyone notice that Erin seems a little bit uncomfortable when she's covering this story? I don't know. Maybe it's because like Bill Clinton's there as well. It's not just people on the right. It's also people, that are Democrat. I don't want to say the left, but people that are Democrats as well. But she seems kind of nervous covering the story. Someone said in the chat, and it's like you were reading my mind. I was about to go there. Les Wexner. Guess what I just finished watching earlier today? I just finally watched that Abercrombie and Fitch documentary on Netflix. And it's just interesting how all these people just roll together, right? So the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch was also friends and, of course, business, buds with Les Wexner, the same guy who was friends and business partner with Jeffrey Epstein. Apparently, the person that gave Jeffrey Epstein money. It was alluded that there could have been some type of a romantic relationship between those two, but all these people run together. Now, the reason why I bring up Abercrombie and Fitch is because of this. Abercrombie and Fitch needs what? They needed models. And the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, remember I covered this about a year and a half ago, that he was also arrested on these sexual charges for basically pimping out models through Abercrombie and Fitch. Now, unlike Diddy, he was allowed to be released on bail. So I don't know if everybody remembers that story. I covered it, but it kind of like it happened and then it kind of flew under the radar and people don't really talk about him anymore. His name is Jeffrey former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. So you had someone connected to the modeling industry, which he was very particular about, not just the people who modeled for Abercrombie and Fitch, but he was also particular about who worked in the Abercrombie and Fitch stores, that he wanted them to look a certain way. Now, pause there for a second. Fast forward to Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein also was involved in the modeling industry. Remember, at one point, if you go through Whitney Webb's article, that's one of the things that was talked about how he was trying to, I guess, quote unquote, get some of the models that were around people like Naomi Campbell as well. That's another part. So you have another person working with models. Then you have the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch working with models. And in the middle, you have Lex Wagner. And Lex was the one who founded Limited, Incorporated. The Limited Incorporated included Bath and Body Works, Victoria's Secret, and of course the retail store, The Limited, to name a few. So you have the person in the middle who had the money to give to Jeffrey Epstein, the money to kind of get these things rolling. And then you got the two pimps on the outside. This is why I say it's not just about Jeffrey Epstein. You're talking about a global network, a web of sorts. And when you put it all together, it's going to reveal, I think, a lot of people. And I think that's why they really don't want to reveal those Epstein files, because it's so many people, I believe, that are connected to this, that it's just going to be like going down a rabbit hole. Probably people that you would not expect. Some you would expect, and some you probably would not expect. And that would include politicians in my book. One big tangled web.
And just all of that, to think what happened in that actual room. And 40-room townhouse, I mean, it's a mansion. He renovated it fully. He redecorated it. And what you have described in your report, Steve, is an eccentric style. What stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think in a word, creepy. I mean, I think that there are things that you would look around and you would see, like you mentioned at the top of this, the taxidermy tiger, for example, there was the sculpture of a woman wearing a bridal gown and clutching a rope in the central atrium of the home, framed prosthetic eyeballs lining an entryway, just sort of a general strangeness, creepiness, to the home, throughout. Leopard print chairs, for example, were among the things that we could detect and included in our report.
So I haven't seen leopard print chairs since I was in college. And that was, people used to get some of the furniture from IKEA, and people would get like the leopard print chairs from IKEA. So really interesting to me that was one of the things that he saw there that he mentioned. Major said 40 rooms, that's overkill. It is overkill. And it makes you wonder, why would one person need that many rooms?
It's pretty incredible. I hope everyone will read it in full, look at the photos that you were able to obtain and share. So important in light of everything we're learning now. Steve, thank you so much. And of course, I will note, none of the people that Steve and I were just talking about, whose photographs were on display in Epstein's apartment, none of those individuals have been accused of wrongdoing in the Epstein case.
We're talking tonight about all that's transpired since the Trump administration tried to put a lid on the Jeffrey Epstein story.
Yeah. So I believe that was the only thing. And I just want to show you again, these are all the people that have been subpoenaed. So Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Comey, Loretta Lynch, Eric Holder, Merrick Garland, Robert Mueller, William Barr, Jeff Sessions, and Alberto Gonzalez. The sad thing about all this is that at the end of the day, nothing's probably going to happen to any of these people. They're not going to be held accountable for the most part. These are very powerful people. So just keep that in mind. But it is not a good look. I am waiting for that in-person testimony from Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. That should be very interesting. But it appears that, like I said, the Clintons could have been running with the devil. Sometimes you got to wonder, how did people get to where they are at the pace that they did? Who did they know? Hillary came from a pretty upper middle class family. Bill did not. Bill grew up poor. So this is why I continue to say, I believe she kind of molded him into what she wanted him to be so that she could also pave a way for her political career as well. Now, obviously, it's easier to do that if you have the husband go first. So I don't know. It's like that Van Halen song, I'm telling you. Running with the devil. That's what it seems like. That's what it feels like to me. Oh my gosh. Let's go to some of the comments, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, let's move that there. Thank you, Eric. Bill Clinton swears that he was only at Epstein's to pose for a painting, blue dress. Yeah, apparently everybody was there, but they ain't do nothing, right? Thank you, Wasim. I know what Bill will say. I did not have sensual relations with those women. Thank you also, Wasim. Not surprised about Mick. Keith Richards had Trudeau's mom as a guru. Then hotel room was busted open by RCMP on drug suspicion. Interesting. Keith Richards is someone that, you got to look at that guy and say, God damn. Because Keith Richards should be the poster boy for don't do drugs. Just don't. Thank you, Courtney. I wouldn't be surprised if a few gospel artists and preachers made that list. I wouldn't be surprised either. You see, they said there was pictures with the Pope as well. Granted, a lot of people pose with the Pope, but I don't know. Thank you, Jay. Les Wexner has just bought Obama's Martha's Vineyard mansion. Coincidence? I don't know. That is interesting. Thank you, Marvin. Please have Ryan Dawson on Expert Epstein JFK Civil War. I will look him up. Thank you. And thank you, Perry. Their greatest fear realizing the files would reveal Epstein ties to Israel and that his actions were an attempt to blackmail people on behalf of Israel. Ding, 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 ding. There it is. There it is. All right, ladies and gents, if you haven't had a chance to do so, smash that like button for me. Thank you. If you're new, don't forget to like, sub, and share, just like a Care Bear. And we're going to keep this party moving on. Moving on. Okie dokie. This is a big one. Yeah. The Democrat Party leadership and the GOP leadership are very concerned that Zohran Mamdani is surging in these polls. And it is August, and I know it may seem like November is far away, but it's really not. And it is not looking good for Cuomo, for Eric Adams, for Silva. He is continuing to grow. So much that apparently someone felt that they should try to step in to prevent this from happening. If you look at the polls right now, in the mayor poll in New York City, this is the Zenith Research poll. Right now, Mamdani is at 50%. Andrew Cuomo is at 22%. Sliwa is at 13%. And Eric Adams is at 7%. Eric Adams has continued to decline in these polls. I think that speaks to how people feel about his tenure as mayor. But he is continuing to climb in these polls so much that I would say if the election was today, he would win. If this holds, he is going to win. And apparently people don't like that. They also don't like this. When we look at Jewish voters in New York, Zohran Mamdani is set to win the majority of Jewish voters under the age of 45 in the New York mayor election with 67% support. This is the same poll, the Zenith Research poll. Mamdani leads with 43% of the Jewish vote overall. Cuomo has 26% overall and 33% among conservative and Orthodox Jews, while Adams trails with 15% overall and 27% with conservative and Orthodox voters. Look at this, guys. When you look at the total Jewish vote in New York City right now, Zohran Mamdani is in the lead at 43%. Andrew Cuomo, 26%. Sliwa 9, Eric Adams 15, Jim Walden 1%, and the other 5% I don't know. Now, obviously, Zohran is doing very well with Jewish voters between the ages of 18 to 44. Again, you're seeing a shift there, right? A generational shift. And Andrew Cuomo is doing well with those that are over the age of 45. But this speaks volumes. And I think it was this poll that caused someone, gave them great pause. Because here's the reality, folks. New York City has the most Jewish voters than any other city in the United States. This shows that things have changed. This shows that the tide has turned, and that even, of course, a lot of the Jewish voters do not want to support a politician that is pro-Israel in a city that is probably the most pro-Israel city in the country. This has never happened before, as long as I can remember, not in New York City. So they're afraid. They're scared. And they're so scared that they're making threats like this. I guess this is supposed to make people not want to vote for Zohran, but they don't realize like how much of a hand clap this is. Breaking, hundreds of NYPD officers threatened to quit if communist Zohran Mamdani is elected as mayor, per Fox. Honey, don't threaten people with a good time. Like, this is the thing. Like, I don't think they realize this is not the win that you think it is. A lot of people really do not like the NYPD. Even people that don't live in New York don't like the NYPD. So this is not the win that they think it is. So I don't know. I don't know who thought this would be a good thing to announce, right? So the numbers are still going in Zohran's favor. He is in the lead. If the election were today, he would win. And so that is why it was announced, and Zohran called him out on it. Andrew Cuomo, apparently behind the scenes, has now been working with Donald Trump. I kid you not. Andrew Cuomo is running with the devil. Donald Trump and Andrew Cuomo secretly talked on the phone as Trump weighs endorsement and NYC mayor race. Guys, they're doing it again. They're doing it again. Here we go. Check this out. I told you guys Andrew Cuomo was corrupt. I told you this guy is just, he's so full of himself. He looks like the Grinch right there laughing or smiling, whatever. So let's get into it because this is wild. President Trump is doing serious research into the upcoming NYC mayor election. He has quizzed a Republican congressman and New York businessman about which candidate has the best chance of beating Democrat nominee Zohran Mamdani. The field includes, you know, all the nominees. We ain't going through all that again. Adams announced plans to seek re-election as an independent in April. Cuomo launched his independent run after losing the Democratic primary. Now, check this out. The outlet also cites that 3 unnamed sources say that Trump even spoke directly to Cuomo about the race on a previously undisclosed phone call in recent weeks. Now, stop right here. Let me tell you what's happening. What did I tell you before? These corporate Democrats would rather have someone like Donald Trump in than have someone to the left win. This is why they didn't want Bernie Sanders in there, although Bernie, he ain't that much left nowadays. But they would rather have Donald Trump in because he protects and maintains the status quo instead of having someone to their left in. So you got Andrew Cuomo here having these little secret phone calls with Donald Trump. Now, Andrew Cuomo and all of his ilk have warned you and told you that Trump is a problem. They have told you that Trump is a threat. Isn't that what Andrew Cuomo said? But behind the scenes, he's having phone calls with Andrew Cuomo, having phone calls with Donald Trump. Doesn't that seem strange to you? So they are getting ready to try to find a way to rig it. And this is what, and we're sending the alarm out now, folks. In order for, and I'm predicting this, in order for Zohran Mamdani to win, he's going to have to overwin. So he's going to have to get more because they're already turning the gears. So look at this. Cuomo, his spokesman says, oh, well, as far as I know, they have not discussed the race. Okay, we're going to reveal that's not the case. The outlet says it's unclear who initiated the call or what exactly was discussed. But if true, it's an interesting development given the political history between Donald Trump and Andrew Cuomo. So just like that, Andrew Cuomo is willing to try to work with Donald Trump to prevent Zohran Mamdani from winning this race. And I saw this as Zohran held a press conference discussing this very same thing. And people need to pay attention. Let me say something. People here need to pay attention to what is happening. And I hope more people share this story, because this is why I continue to tell you, at the end of the day, the Democratic Party is not a truly oppositional party to the Republican Party. They both want to protect corporate interests, the military-industrial complex, Israel. At the end of the day, there's one thing that they both fear, and that's the working class. That's the 99%. So Zohran Mamdani, I think, did the right thing by basically airing Cuomo's ass out earlier. Check this out.
You got it. Thank you, bro.
So I don't know what's up with the camera angle, but they ain't got to get that close to dude's face. That was a little weird.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you to Nadine from 1199. Thank you to Candace from 32BJ. Thank you to the rank and file union members who have joined us this morning. We are standing in front of Federal Plaza, the very site where New Yorkers are being stolen, whether from their families, their friends, or from the city that they call home. It is at this very site that we understand the cost of this news, that former Governor Cuomo has been conspiring with President Trump about the fate of this city, about the future of this city, about the facts of this race. It is knowledge that is a betrayal of everything that we stand for as New Yorkers. It is knowledge that disappoints us, and yet it does not surprise us. Because
pausing here for just a second. This is why I continue to say Andrew Cuomo is a snake. So when you hear all these people, all these corporate Democrats say Trump is so bad, blah, 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 remember, a lot of this is theater, right? They may disagree with some of Trump's policies, but they would still rather have Trump there than to have someone like Zohran there who wants to give people free buses, which is possible, is doable, and has been done in this country. Who wants people to have these public-owned, these grocery stores, right? The government-owned grocery stores. People are like, oh, no, that's socialism. We already have government-owned grocery stores in the United States. This is going to tell you how people are just so, look, Americans, we got to educate ourselves. Like this just drove me crazy that people didn't realize that. So that's one of the things that you need to know. Most of the things that Zohran said he wants to do, again, Governor Hochul would have to be the one to approve it. And I don't think she's going to approve most of this. But the reality is just the idea that someone who said they would stay in New York And they would not go to Israel, while all those other candidates said, if you could visit anywhere, where would you go? Oh, I would go to Israel. I would go to Israel. And he said, well, I would stay right here because I'm trying to help New Yorkers. The fact that he didn't say Israel and he is leading in the polls, ladies and gentlemen, in New York City, this is a big problem for the establishment. This is a big problem for the status quo. This is a big problem for Israel, and Democrat leadership don't like it. That's why they haven't endorsed him. And GOP leadership doesn't like it. But you expect them not to like it. But this is why. This is the one thing both of these parties agree on, and that's being pro-Israel. And they damn sure don't really want to do anything for the working people. So the fact that he is polling as high as he is, this is a problem. So you got Andrew Cuomo sneaky ass secretly behind the scenes working with Donald Trump to try to rig it. Instead of just letting the people vote how they want to vote. Chris Cuomo, get your brother. Chris Cuomo, who works for News Nation, who's been running cover for his brother's crimes for all these damn years, even when you were on CNN, get your brother. Let's continue on. What a mess.
It builds on a history that we have seen with this former governor. A history of trying to hide that which he knows is offensive to the values of this city from the people of this city. We see that with this call itself. Something that took place many weeks ago, and yet it took the New York Times to share this with New Yorkers. We know that this former governor has very little regard, whether it be for the Democratic Party, the democratic process, or for Democrats themselves, because he would rather look past having been beaten by close to 13 points by a campaign that amassed more votes than any Democratic primary winner in New York City history, to the extent that he would actually have a conversation with the very president who is stealing food from the hungry, who is throwing New Yorkers and Americans from coast to coast off of their health care, and doing so all in service of yet another significant wealth transfer between those who do not have enough in their pocket to those who have more than they know what to do with.
One thing I want to add here, that Andrew Cuomo, this is another thing. Andrew Cuomo and actually Governor Hochul, they should have supported the New York Health Act, which would have given all New Yorkers health care. They should have supported that. But of course, no, because he's corporate. He's for the corporations.
We know that Andrew Cuomo will sell working people out for his interests, for the interests of the billionaires that supported him, for the interests of Donald Trump, because all of those interests are lining up as one and the same. It is time for us to say enough. It is time for us to make clear that what this city deserves is a mayor who, when he sees Donald Trump attacking the people of this city, will stand up and fight back against that vision. Will not get on the phone with the architect of that vision to speak about a race that we already know should be a referendum on how to make the most expensive city in the United States of America affordable, not a question of how we can install yet another ambassador for Washington, D.C. in City Hall. I am surrounded by New Yorkers for whom this cost is lived every single day, for whom this question and this decision to get on the phone with Donald Trump has a significant and tangible impact on their lives and the lives of those that they serve. And as we stand here at Federal Plaza, I do so knowing that it's just blocks from here where I got my citizenship, where I was sworn in as an American in this city that I was raised in, and knowing that if Donald Trump is to act upon his threats to denaturalize me, it will likely take place right at this plaza. The job of mayor is not to audition to be the jester for a want-to-be king. It is to be the person that stands up for the values of this city, for the fabric of the city, and for the people of the city. And that is what I'm running to do. I am so thankful to have been joined by such incredible leaders in organized labor. And I would like to begin by calling up Nadine Williamson from 1199 to share more with us as to the cost of this kind of a decision.
Then they get into the labor activists, but that's the part I wanted everybody to hear, this collusion with Andrew Cuomo and Donald Trump. And like I said, like, Chris Cuomo, come get your brother. You ain't got room to talk about nobody else no more. He'll hold everybody accountable except his fucking brother. And that's just a reality. Now, here's another thing. Something else has happened. Elizabeth Warren has come out to endorse Zohran Mamdani. And she says that the Democratic Party should get on board and do the same thing. Check this out.
Progressive social. Is this what the party should look like?
Yes. You bet. The Democratic Party needs to stand up and be clear. We are the party that fights for affordability for working families. That means childcare. That means housing. It means healthcare. It means making this country work better for the working people who make this country work.
All right, last question.
I get a little excited about this. Okay. All right.
So she's right in the sense that the Democratic Party should move in that direction. They should stand up and fight for the working class people. But I can't help but think what would have happened in 2020 if she would have dropped her ass out the race. I can't help but go back to 2020 and remember how you stood there, Elizabeth Warren, and you told people Bernie Sanders told you that a woman can't be president. How you turned all of a sudden at the last minute and then stayed in the race on Super Tuesday, knowing damn well at that point you had no chance of being the last person standing. Elizabeth Warren did that to take votes away from Bernie Sanders. Because if Elizabeth Warren, I truly believe if she would have dropped out of that place, I think that Bernie Sanders would have swept Super Tuesday. That's why she stayed her ass in. Wouldn't be surprised if Obama called her and told her to stay in like he told other people to drop out. Things like that. So we may not have been here, Elizabeth, if you weren't trying to tap dance for Biden. Because if you really felt that way and believed that those are the policies we got to fight for, you would have done the right thing and you would have dropped your ass out the race. So I get nervous when I see Elizabeth Warren, this coming from her. There's a reason why we called her the snake, because of what she did. And then there's this part, and I think people need to see this as well. Hold on, let me come here. Of course, they're talking about this on Fox Business. And this is the thing that floors me. Fox Business, they start talking about this, letting people know this might be bad for the billionaires. Oh, no.
All the things that Elizabeth Warren and Mamdani and the entire socialists want to do is not going to make New York City more affordable. It's just going to do that old socialist thing, which is use up money that, quite frankly, this city doesn't have. And what happens when you run out of other people's money? Prices go up even more. This city is going to become even more unaffordable. And that's going to be the canary in the coal mine for this nation. Do you want this kind of approach going forward? Or do you want what's happening on the stock market today, where capitalism feeds a stock market that's growing? Prices are kind of staying here. They're not inflating as much as we thought they could. Things are pretty good right now under Trump. All the things.
So this guy, again, I don't think they think before they speak on these shows. Shout out to Case Study QB. Do you want democratic socialism, or do you want what's happening on the stock market today, where capitalism feeds the stock market that's growing? I think people want to be able to pay their rent. I think people want to be able to afford their groceries. I think people want to be able to have the American dream. I think that's what people want. And the average American that's out there working 2 jobs or just working 1 job and still trying to find a way to get by, they're not thinking about the stock market. That's how you can tell these anchors that how out of touch they are. They're not out there on the street talking to the everyday people. They probably don't even leave that desk. The average person getting up in the morning to go to work is not like, I wonder what the stock market says. So not a hit, not a hit. And then the other thing about this is that I think we need to worry about. People don't forget this, right? And shout out to Thea. Zohran Mamdani and Elizabeth Warren are campaigning together. Reminder, Elizabeth Warren voted to supply Israel with $3.8 billion in weapons and to defund UN aid for Gaza. See, people forget. And don't forget, in 2014, Elizabeth Warren defended the Israeli shelling of Gaza schools and hospitals. Once a snake, always a snake. And this is what worries me. And this is why I think that Zohran might end up being a watered down version of what he set out to be. This is why I think that, because yeah, he needs as many endorsements as he can get. I just don't think that Governor Hochul, who is the governor who has to sign off on a lot of these things, especially like free busing, I don't think she's going to sign off on these things. And then I think New Yorkers might be disappointed. And they'll be like, hey, you said you were going to do all this stuff, you know, not understanding how the government works, like that he can say, I want to do A, B, and C. But at the end of the day, the governor has to sign off on some of those actions, particularly in a city like New York City. But the Elizabeth Warren thing is interesting. So now Elizabeth Warren all of a sudden is brave and courageous because she wasn't brave and courageous in 2020. She wasn't brave and courageous when it was time to make that vote to give that money to Israel. She wasn't brave and courageous when people approached her and her husband right here in Cambridge, Massachusetts, about the money going to Israel in the genocide in Gaza. She wasn't courageous. She just sat right there like this. So I question her. I question Elizabeth Warren. But based on the numbers right now, it looks like Zohran Mamdani is going to win, unless Andrew Cuomo, with his collusion here with Donald Trump, unless they find a way to rig it. You guys have seen the numbers. I just showed them to you. You can continue to follow those numbers. Shout out to Case Study QB there, who's keeping up with that data. Follow Case Study QB on X, and he's continuously posting the polling numbers. So come November, if something happens, pay attention to this race. Because don't forget, just because Donald Trump is in D.C., he's in the White House, don't forget, Donald Trump is a New Yorker. Donald Trump knows a lot of people in New York, especially people that have resources. You going back to the days of construction and the construction business, which Donald Trump was very much a part of back in the day before he even thought about stepping into politics. And New York in particular, a lot of the construction and the businesses back in those days were run by the mob. So this is why I'm sounding the alarm to people now. Running with the devil. Chris, come get your brother. Let's go to the comments, ladies and gents. JB says liberals will side with fascists to stop anyone even marginally left. Yep. Shout out to Walter Beasley. That's a jazz legend right there, guys. Walter Beasley says, love what you are doing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Vilma, again, I can't thank Sabby enough for her beautifully articulated voice against the corruption at home and worldwide. Thank you, Vilma. Darius said, nah, this is the establishment over-planning opposition, in my opinion. This is too performative. Interesting. Mentoring Sabby, when Trump was first running for president, it came out that Cuomo had accepted money for him. Whoa, I'm sorry, back up. When Trump was first running for president, it came out that Cuomo had accepted money from him. And when asked, he said he would not return the money, but he'll talk bad about Trump. Interesting. Interesting. Thank you, Justice. As Lady Alex said, same BS, different liars. Thank you, Jay. I'm surprised Adams hasn't reached out to Trump. Interesting. Let's get the comment on Rumble and let's keep it moving and grooving. All right. I think we can go to part 2 for Type VNC. Thank you for the tip on Rumble. Just say no to white Pocahontas. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin, Roger. Liberals freaking out the same way they freaked out with Trump. I think you mean they should have passed the New York Health Act. Yeah, the New York Health Act. I was on a Zoom with a current governor when she said she was running for her own term, and she was finishing Cuomo's term. It was more unidirectional than bidirectional. And she said, or should I say implied, she did not support it. So screw her. Well, interesting. All right, guys, it is time for a quick announcement, and then we'll keep this party going. All right. Huge announcement. We have 3 big peeps coming up this week, ladies and gents, on Sabby Sabs podcast. I know, it's a big one. This week on Sabby Sabs, we will finally, I finally get to interview Professor Jeffrey Sachs. He is going to be here. I'm excited about that one. That'll be the first time he's on the show. We will also have Whitney Webb is coming back. That's about to be a banger. You know, I got so much to ask. Oh my God. Especially with this timing. That's about to be a banger. And then we also have Professor Richard Wolff is coming back as well. We got a lot to do, a lot to talk about. There's so much going on. So I just wanted to do a rundown to let you know who's going to be coming through this week. So I look forward to that. Bam. Hey. What up? What it do? And we have one more announcement here. You guys know we do mutual aid over here. Friend of the show, Zineb Day, is going through something. And I really hope that if any of you can help her, please do so. I've been in that situation before, and it's not a good one to be in when you don't know if you're going to have a place to live. So I do want to share Zineb's announcement. And if you can help, guys, please do so. I'll be sure to share her Venmo as well.
I'm reaching out today because I need help. I have put in more than 1,788 applications for employment over the last year. I have worked 2 extremely part-time jobs, and both of them, the hours have fallen far below anything that I need to sustain. I have about 48 hours to raise $1,500 so that my family can maintain their housing, and I'm at my rope's end. I don't know what else I can do. I've applied everywhere I possibly can, everywhere from retail to any online work that I could potentially do, anything within the scope of my abilities and outside of the professions I've worked in the past. But what I have learned through interviews that I've had in the past and others is that my open, front-facing activism has caused me to be blacklisted in the workforce. And now I'm struggling. And I don't know where to turn. I don't know what to do. And I don't know how to get back on my feet.
This is something I was telling you guys about, that some people are being blacklisted because of the protests, like protesting for Gaza or protesting, just for like even the economic stuff. So apparently it seems like that has now happened to Zineb as well.
On top of that, I have multiple disabilities. I have a blood disorder. I also have long COVID and an autoimmune deficiency, as well as swelling in the spine and brain. So I can only work so many physical jobs without it becoming debilitating. Certain jobs I absolutely cannot do because they will land me in the hospital for days, if not weeks at a time. In my career as a journalist, it's almost gone. AI has replaced our jobs. We are seeing massive market shifts, and I know that a lot of people are feeling this too, but I'm reaching out because I'm desperate. And as I said, I'm at the end of the rope. I've gotten to very dark places, and I have no one to help me. I have no way to get a loan. I have no way to get a credit card without the capital or a job. I can't even apply for the benefits to help with housing assistance because in Kentucky, everything that is available, you have to be a 40-hour-a-week employee somewhere to even be able to apply. So I'm reaching out to the folks that I've organized with, to the people that know me, the people that have seen the work that I have continued to do despite it not being employment, the reporting that I've continued to do. And I'm asking if just 200 people gave $10 each, my family could be okay for just a little while longer to help me get a job. And I know that there are people in far worse conditions, but I'm not going to be of any help to anyone, especially not my family, if we are out on the street. And I hesitated to make this video because in our current society and culture, there's a lot of shame with where I'm at. And I understand there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are in exactly the same boat I am, that have applied for job after job, that are suffering through long COVID, that have disabilities, that went to college and did everything you were supposed to do. I graduated magna cum laude with 2 degrees and almost a third. I worked in the field I was set to work in. I, stacked the deck with all kinds of options to broaden my quote unquote portfolio so that I could be hired for work and make sure that, I chose fields that I could support my family in. There is no shame in needing help if anyone is in the same boat that I'm in. And I'm so sorry that you're struggling with this too, because as I said, I know that I am not alone. There's a mythology that we can pick ourselves up by the bootstrap. And from the Appalachian region where I'm from, there's some shame in asking for help, in not being able to pull yourself up. But sometimes you need people to reach down and help you and help pull each other up. And that's what I'm asking for. And like I said, if just 200 people gave $10, I would be back on my feet for a while, long enough to be able to help myself out of this hole. And if you know of any kind of jobs out there that I could fit, that would be wonderful. I am an award-winning journalist. I have published more than 1,000 publications. I have experience in video editing, experience in marketing, experience in communications, campaigns, elections, and activism and organizing. And I have covered humanitarian topics from healthcare for all to ICE, to the Department of Homeland Security, implications of poverty. I've covered elections. You name it, I've probably covered it at some point in time or another. And would love to be a part of any team. I am a hard worker. But in the meantime, if anyone can help out, please do. And thank you so much for listening.
Okay, so Zeneb has been on the show quite a number of times, and I know about her job search journey. She has been applying for a job for quite some time, and I know she was able to get part-time work. When I tell you guys it's rough out there, it is rough out there. This is what I was talking about. I know another person who was laid off a couple months ago, still looking for a job. Like, it's not, and it almost kind of feels like the more experience you have, the harder it is for you to find employment again. Like, I don't know, but the activism thing is real, guys. Like, so you see, she's kind of been blacklisted there. If you want to help Zeneb, you can do so by donating to her Venmo. Her Venmo handle is at Zeneb Day without the space. Don't put the space in between the at. But that's her Venmo there. I think Eric also put the link to that in the chat as well. Look, guys, there come times when people be falling like on hard time. This is what I was telling people. Like, and you never know. It could be you next. But anything that you can give to her to help her, I'm sure Zeneb would greatly appreciate it. So, and I wish her the best. I know it's tough out here. Like, it's not easy. Not easy. All right. Yeah, I'm glad she shared her story too. Someone was asking about can she get disability? Honey, all I know is disability is a crapshoot. When my mom applied for disability, it took a long time for that to get approved. So I don't know how it is today. That was a couple years ago, but From what I understand, like disability is not easy to get. But yeah. All right, guys. Are we keeping it moving and moving? All right, 9:37. I'm gonna try to get everybody out before 10:30. I'm trying to get better with the timing, guys. Trying to get better with my timing. Okay. We have a pretty uplifting story. And I think that if we take a look at what Jeremy Corbyn and Sultana are doing in the UK, maybe this is a direction that we could go in. Maybe we need to pay attention to what they're doing. Jeremy Corbyn and Sultana have started a new party in the UK. And from what I understand, it seems like they've already had 700,000 people at least sign up for the email list. Check it out. I think this is an inspiring story, folks.
She claimed that she, along with Jeremy Corbyn, would co-lead the founding of a new party with other independent MPs, campaigners, and activists. She says that the Westminster system is broken and raises the issue of wealth inequality and the genocide in Gaza. Sultana also points out the reason that she was suspended from the Labour Party and goes on to claim that Labour has completely failed to improve people's lives. She ends her statement by claiming that billionaires already have 3 parties fighting for them. It's time the rest of us had one. Clearly then, there's an element of left-wing populism to this party, a rejection of the mainstream, and a promise to be a true representative of the people. Now, it's possible that Zahra Sultana jumped the gun with this announcement, as Corbyn didn't publicly comment until Friday afternoon, when he put out a slightly less definitive statement, saying that the democratic foundations of a new kind of political party will soon take shape, adding that discussions are ongoing, and seemingly avoiding to use the term co-lead. Nonetheless, something is clearly in the works. So what will this new party look like? But what we haven't really...
Pause for a second here. For those who are not familiar, Jeremy Corbyn is kind of like the UK's Bernie Sanders. It's the best way I could describe it. Except Jeremy Corbyn has called it a genocide. But Jeremy Corbyn is basically doing what many of us wanted Bernie Sanders to do after 2016, and that was to start a new party. Jeremy Corbyn has been very vocal about how disappointing the Labour Party has been and that it's not really fighting for the working people. So he's basically like, screw this, I'm going to start my own party. Now, they also have the Green Party there as well. And if we're just running the numbers through our head, imagine if the Greens aligned with Jeremy Corbyn's new party, then I would assume they would be unstoppable. I think they would stomp Labour out the water. I really do. So I think we need to pay attention to what Jeremy Corbyn is doing here, because it could be a pathway for what we could try to accomplish here in this country. Something to think about. Let's continue.
Got any specific details, we can infer a fair amount from the statements and previous comments. Sultana's announcement suggests that the aim is to bring in other independent MPs, perhaps the 5 that, like Jeremy Corbyn, were elected in 2024 as independents and went on to form a parliamentary faction called the Independent Alliance. Presumably, this new party would also hope to bring over other left-wing former Labour MPs, such as John McDonnell and Absama Begum, who also lost the whip for voting to scrap the 2-child benefit cap.
So do you see what they were trying to do? So they're trying to get, I guess, what you would call the progressives in the Labour Party to come over and join the new party. It would essentially be the same if Bernie Sanders had started that new party and would ask people like Ilhan and Rashida to come from the Democratic Party and come over to his new party.
Or even get some defections from friendly Labour MPs like Diane Abbott, Rebecca Long-Bailey, and others. However, leading Corbynite MPs, including Abbott, McDonnell, and also Labour's Clive Lewis, have reportedly rejected the idea of leaving Labour to join a new party. The party may also seek to bolster its ranks by looking to the local level, as in numerous councils across the country, there are groups of councillors either elected as independents or who quit Labour in frustration at Starmer's premiership. This is something that Corbyn himself referred to when questioned about a prospective new party.
There's a lot of people all around the country in different independent groups. You look in Birmingham, look in Liverpool, look in Southport, and so on. There is a thirst for an alternative view to be put. I'm working with all of those people. That grouping will come together. There will be an alternative view, and there will be an alternative put there, which is about a society that deals with poverty, inequality, and a foreign policy that's based on peace rather than
war. And would you like to lead that group?
I'm here to work. I'm here to serve the people in the way I've always tried to do.
Now, as we see it.
See the difference? He's there to work and serve the people. That's like, it's like, I feel like that's what's needed here. That's what's needed. We need that here in the United States. Our politicians need to say, we're here to serve the people, because they're not. They're not. They're happy. They got a apartment, a fancy apartment in DC, and then they got a home back in their home state, you know? And they're enjoying that lifestyle, and they're making money by writing books and speaking engagements, etc. But that's really what it should be about. You should be there to serve the people.
There are essentially two reasons why Sultana probably decided that Thursday was the right day to launch the new party. The first is that Saturday was the one-year anniversary of the Labour government. Establishing a new party so close to this anniversary is intended as a clear criticism of the government and allows them to highlight the failures of the government over the past year. The second is that last week was a particularly bad one for Starmer. While he managed to subdue a backbench rebellion, this was at the cost of gutting a welfare bill that he'd spent weeks and huge amounts of political capital trying to justify. Not only does it now look like Labour backbenchers can push a weak Prime Minister around, it will also frustrate the scores of Labour MPs who were pushed into arguing publicly that it was necessary to deny the personal independence payment to more disabled people. Not only could these MPs become more frustrated at the government and rebel more, but they could also start to look for a political home elsewhere. Anyway, aside from any question about timing, it's important to ask what kind of impact this new party could actually have. Short of actually winning an election, there are lots of ways that it could influence things if it grows to a reasonable size. In the case of a hung parliament or narrow government majority, with a decent number of MPs, the party could exert influence in coalition negotiations or in the passage of legislation. As the experience of Nigel Farage's Reform UK in relation to the Conservatives shows, even if a Corbyn party only won a handful of seats, just earning the vote of a few thousand people across enough key Labour constituencies to put those seats in doubt is a way of exerting leftward pressure on Labour, whether it's over welfare, Gaza, spending, or anything else.
That's right. That's something to consider, how that pressure can be put on. And this is what I was saying, right? Like, we need something to do that. We need a wedge. We don't really have like that strong wedge right now. Now, I do understand the UK, it's a little bit different because they have multiple parties and people do vote in the multiple parties. Don't forget, George Galloway was able to win in the special election through the Worker Party. But I think that even though we don't have as many parties as they do that are viable in this country, I think we can still look at what they're doing. And I'm a firm believer of not reinventing the wheel. I'm a firm believer in, you don't always have to start from scratch. Look at what has been done or is being done, and look at how you can maybe expand it or tweak it. I think a lot of times, like, good ideas just fall apart because people feel like they got to start from scratch. Like, no. We are not at the bottom of the Jenga pile. You're already in the middle because you already have a foundation that has been built, and you just need to add and build onto that. And I think this makes sense. So that's what we need. We need somebody with the balls, the cojones. Sorry for those of you watching and the kids are in the room. With the cojones that is able to say, that's it, I've had it, I'm building my own thing. Who's coming with me? Do the Jerry Maguire thing. Who's coming with me? And even if it's to the point where, like he's saying in the video, they would be able to put the pressure because they could disrupt seats just by the people who want to come over to the new party. That's what we need.
Actual numbers. A recent poll by More in Common put a hypothetical left-wing Corbyn-led party on 10% of the vote, which is a pretty decent debut. Though remember, this party doesn't actually exist yet. Unsurprisingly, the poll shows that the Corbyn party would take votes away from Labour, which was down 3 percentage points in that scenario.
That right there. 10%. Remember, in this country, we want to at least try to get to 5. right now, the percentage is showing it would get 10% from labor. That would come from labor. And then whoever else decides to come over as well. I think it's inspiring. I think it's something to look at. I do. And I want you to hear what Jeremy Corbyn said. He said this to, is this Owen? Yeah, he said this to Owen Jones, the problems with the Labour Party.
We've done is what? Minor reforms in terms of rights of renters, slightly greater protection, but no rent control. Some improvement in workers' rights, but no sectoral bargaining, and so on, all the way through. And then rolling back against the environmental agenda, actively pursuing an increase in arms expenditure rather than promoting this. I'm not pretending the world's simple or easy out there, but if you have an agenda to go to war, as Starmer and Healey appear to do, then what do? You spend more and more money on weapons. And this Kendall gets up in Parliament saying she wants to take $5 billion out of the DWP budget, which is earmarked for personal independence payments, and Starmer wants to put $13 billion more into the arms budget. What are we about as a country? Are we going to starve and impoverish people with disabilities in order to buy more planes from the USA? Because that's what it looks like.
Of course, yeah, it's quite right. If you buy all those weapons, you've got to use them. Otherwise, you haven't got any more to buy. You've got to keep it going. Yeah, very dangerous economic refooting.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what Jeremy Corbyn is saying there, you know, he's like, what are we going to do? He said, are we going to starve and impoverish people? So, you know, the Labor Party kind of reminds me, you know, of the Democratic Party here in the United States. Again, it's just about money and corporatism, right? So some people are sitting back and they're like, oh, what is Jeremy Corbyn trying to do? Is he running with the devil? No, I would say that Keir Starmer is the one that's running with the devil. Keir Starmer is the one that didn't even want to call what was happening in Gaza a genocide. Don't forget the UK was sending weapons to Israel too. It's not just us. You know, like he's the one, he wants to go there and shake Netanyahu's hand. And it's not just that. It's also about the people who are just financially in a lot of trouble and they just can't get by. Yeah, we have an American dream. People got to remember, people got dreams in their countries too. People in the UK have their own dream of where they want to make it, and they want to have their own home as well too. That's not just an American thing. And everything continues to get more and more expensive. Now, even The Guardian had to talk about it. They said, despite the chaos of its launch, Jeremy Corbyn and Sultana's new party has struck a nerve. So let's just jump down here because there's one part I want to dive into. Here, it says that yet, as well as considering these weaknesses, is also important to acknowledge that despite all the confusion and ridicule, Corbyn and Sultana's new party has struck a nerve. It says that more than 600,000 people have signed up for its remittancy website for updates and information about how to get involved. Almost as many people as the memberships of Labour, the Tories, and Reform UK combined. And some of the most hostile coverage of the new party, there is a revealing note of alarm. Something has actually gone seriously wrong with British society, wrote Camilla in Telegraph. If a party such as this could poll at 18%, the proportion who told YouGov they would consider voting for a new Corbyn-led party. It's a rebellion against the broken status quo. Yes, that's what's happening. People are rebelling against the broken status quo. They are tired of it, especially those, I would say the majority, the people who are part of the 99%. So check this out now. It says, so membership is nearly at 700,000. We can easily reach 1 million. Now that is the number of people who have signed up for the email list, just FYI, but they're trying to do something different here in the UK. And I think they can. If they've already had over 700,000 people that have signed up for that party, I think they can easily reach 1 million. So let's just look into what they're doing. And I say, go from there. Look, it didn't even, what did he have to do? Say, I'm starting a new party. Here's the website. Everybody sign up. And you can see the website here. It's called Your Party UK. This is your party. It's time to build a new kind of political party, one that belongs to you. Sign up to build this party together. Soon we'll host an inaugural founding conference so you can help shape how your party works, what it stands for, and how we organize to win. Fill out this form so that your party and the new party that that develops from it can update you on news, activities, and ways to get involved. So if anybody's watching in the UK, well, we can put the link in the chat regardless. But this is what, you see what I'm saying? Okay. Did that take long to do? No. No, it didn't take long to do. So I kind of like that it's your party. Your party. I kind of like that. But I think they're going in the right direction. This needs to happen. This should have been happened, particularly in this country. But I think a lot of the people in Congress, they don't have the guts to do it. They're not going to do it. They're trying to get their book deals and make their own money. They're looking out for them. It's going to take someone that's rogue. I really like what Chris Smalls is doing with the idea of like the Labor Party. I think that's a good idea. I think that's the right direction to go in. We really need some type of a change. You guys are seeing how Andrew Cuomo is working with Donald Trump to try to make it so that ZOHRAN Mamdani can lose. At this point, when it comes to trying something, you really got nothing. You exhausted everything else. You exhausted everything else. So I think that Jeremy Corbyn is heading in the right direction. And I think it would do us well to follow what he's doing. Something to think about. All right. Let's go to the comments and we'll go to the last story, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Diamond. This society is demonic. Running with the devil. Shout out to Sniper for the super sticker. Thank you. Lee says Israelis destroyed Jeremy Corbyn's last campaign. Yes, they smeared him. I remember that. They smeared him. They said he was anti-Semitic. Thank you, VSSE. Jeremy Corbyn makes Bernie look like Obama. Thanks to the Traveler. Sabby, be careful of saying about the Europe's Green Party because they are hawkish and the UK Green Party dropped its opposition to now. That's right. You're right about that. Forgot about that. Good point, Traveler. Sniper said most of ZOHRAN's proposals can be done without the governor. Buses would cost $700 million in a city budget of $130 billion. Only thing he really needs help with is universal child care. I think when it comes to public transportation, I think the governor still has to sign off on it. But he would need help with the universal too. And Joy said, yeah, the Labor Party did Corbyn very, very wrong. The party itself smeared him behind his back to weaken him. Yep. Let's get that comment on Rumble and then we'll move on to the next story. Hey. All right. Thank you for the tip on Rumble Goo. Just say no to white Pocahontas. So I think I said that one already. Yeah, we saw that one, Eric. It's still funny though. Thank you, Roger, for the tip on Rockfin. 8.5 million is the population of NYC. 5.6 million of them are registered to vote. 5.8 million to 6.2 million is the constant numbers of who comes out to vote in gubernatorial elections. What ZOHRAN would have to do is lobby the governor using the bully pulpit hard to rally the troops because his first year would be an election year for the governor. Oh, Kathy Hochul won by under 55% against Cornball Zeldin. Thank you for this one. That sounds great. A new party, but eventually become corrupted without direct democracy. Stymie them. All right. Thank you. And thank you, Mark. Liz Warren, the worm turns, Sabby. The worm turns. The world turns. The worm turns. Like sands through the hourglass. These are the days of our lives. All right. Running with the devil. Last story of the night, ladies and gentlemen. This one really took me by surprise. Apparently, Cornell West and Norm Finkelstein had a talk at Or Books, and I've seen Or Books host several talks there. But one part of that conversation, I guess, got a little sticky. And that was whether or not Israelis should be shunned or not? What do you think happens? Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. This is a big one.
There's something revolting about, and as Harvard kept writing, to be inclusive of child killers. I find that just an utterly revolting concept.
But
isn't it?
But we just different kind of brothers. We got different kind of temperaments, man. I don't believe in just. Look at it this way. Look at it this way.
Would you correct? The Harvard report had a very curious definition of anti-Semitism, and I'd like to read it to you. We define anti-Semitism as an identity-based bias that has kept Harvard affiliates with Israeli nationality or background from fully participating in Harvard's educational, co-curricular, or social life, which basically means if Jews or Israelis feel left out, then it's a form of anti-Semitism. And a large part of the report is devoted to this phenomenon they call shunning. So to give a couple of examples, I'm quoting, Israeli students reported feeling particularly targeted and ostracized, frequently experiencing social shunning. Accounts of social shunning emerged as one of the most alarming indicators of the breakdown of Harvard's on-campus community. Some Jewish students expressed sadness and frustration at feeling shunned, and so forth. So I'm going to just give some context, and then we can go to the reaction.
And here's the crazy part about all this is, look, Black people have been shunned on and on and on and on and on and on. We got kind of used to being shunned. We've been shunned at school prior to integration and after integration. Still happens today. We've been shunned at the workplace when all the white employees go out to lunch and pretend like the Black employees aren't there. Or when they go out for drinks after work and pretend like the Black employees aren't there. So we've been shunned because we always have to go through certain spaces where we are going to be the minority. If we go to the doctor, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be the minority. The dentist, the doctor, these are just regular appointments that you have through life. Then it's going into the job market, going on to job interviews, etc. Like, so, the whole thing, the case that they're trying to make at Harvard, like, oh God, we feel ostracized, we feel shunned. Well, I'm just reminded of all the shunning that I've experienced, all the shunning that Black people have experienced. Even in independent media, most of the Black commentators, most of us are shunned by other white commentators in independent media. So that's why the whole boo-hoo, cry me a river for these Zionists, that's why it don't work with me. It don't work with me, okay? But that's where we're at now, folks. They're really trying to convince you, not Norm. Norm knows better. But what I'm saying is that the Zionists, the ADL, and all of them, they're really trying to convince you that these Europeans are, oh, it's so tragic what they are going through. Hot mess.
So if you look at the public opinion polls in Israel, Israel is probably the most polled place on God's earth. If you look at the public opinion polls, about 1/2 of Israeli Jews believe that Israel, the IDF, the Israel Defense Forces, should commit genocide in Gaza. That's not an exaggeration. The question that was put to Israelis was very concrete and succinct. When the IDF enters a city, should it kill every single person in the city? 47% of Israeli Jews said yes to that question.
Mm-hmm.
Another question was, do you believe there are any innocents in Gaza? Any innocents? It was asked of Israelis across the board, including non-Jewish Israelis. 62% said there are no innocents in Gaza. If you factor away the non-Jewish respondents, it would come to about 70%. If you turn to Gaza now, Israel, for better or for worse, it has a citizen army. That means that army is representative of Israeli society.
Yeah.
That army is carrying out a genocide. Every member of that army, EVERY, every member of that army is complicit in genocide. If it's not, as doctors have attested, if it's not targeting the skulls and chests of children, if it's not bombing the hospitals, bombing the schools, bombing any infrastructure in Gaza, the water and sanitation facilities, then they're involved in the systematic, methodical starvation, verging on famine of the people of Gaza.
Yep.
Now, when students, or I should say, when IDF soldiers come after their stint in the army to Harvard campus, or there are Jews who are publicly defending a real-time genocide broadcast across the social media, the bulk of the report's recommendations are, we must be inclusive. We must be pluralistic. We must embrace everyone. I say no. They should be shunned. They should be ostracized. You ought not to be inclusive of child killers.
Thank you. 100%. 100%. Because here's the thing, and we're going to get to Cornel West's argument here for a second. Here's the thing. Look, I grew up in the church, and I'm pretty sure if my grandma were alive today, she would say, we got to love everybody, right? But it gets to a point where you ain't got to embrace everybody. You know, it's like, even if you are a Christian, that doesn't mean you have to open your arms and embrace everybody. Some people you got to walk away from. Some people you have to avoid. Some people you may not want to sit next to. That's just the reality of the situation, guys, because the moment you say something, the moment you, I don't know, maybe have a disagreement, next thing you know, their fingers pointing in your face, and they're saying that you're a problem too, that you're being anti-Semitic. This is how far it has gone, ladies and gentlemen. You can't disagree. If you just even criticize what the Israeli government is doing, you disagree with what Netanyahu is doing, and the next thing you know, that's it. Nobody wants to be friends with someone where they have to walk around on eggshells around them. No one wants to be friends with somebody where they have to sit here and say, I better be careful what I say before they have their finger pointed in my face too. And I'm being accused of being something that I'm not. And the next thing you know, there goes my scholarship. There goes my future interview. There goes my future job. I am ostracized, and they continue to go on. That's the reality, folks. Nobody wants to be in that situation, okay? And if people feel like they got a tippity-tiptoe around you all the damn time, guess what? People ain't really going to want to be around you. And if you're supporting what they are doing in Gaza, they damn sure don't need to embrace you at all. In fact, I would get as far away from you as possible. As possible.
You lose me there, Nadine.
The only way that we can effectively prevent these tragedies and these catastrophes is try to engage with those people who have been perpetrators. I think that even a war criminal should be admitted to campus for purposes of truth-seeking, for purposes of trying to prevent genocide in the future. And I don't believe that the effective way to do it is to shun, shame, or ostracize.
I'm asking you, Cornell, do you feel that those students are obliged to be inclusive of child killers? I'm curious, because I know you're very inclusive. Maybe your tent stretches from here to the other side of the galaxy. Do you believe that they should be inclusive of child killers?
Yeah, that's a hell of a way of characterizing it, though, because you see, part of the problem here, brother, is that, I mean, the history of religions, which has been for the most part the history of barbarism in terms of institutional religions, they have specialized in shunning people. And once you begin to shun, then the next step is dehumanization, subjugation, and you're just redoing the same cycle that you yourself were resisting from the very beginning.
No. Let's go back. Because Dr. West, I think, look, I have a lot of respect for Dr. West, but I think Dr. West want to love everybody.
In terms of institutional religions, they have specialized in shunning people. And once you begin to shun, then the next step is dehumanization, subjugation, and you're just redoing the same cycle that you yourself were resisting.
No. Because we're not in a position of power. See, that's the thing. Dr. West, I sincerely, and again, like I said, I have a lot of respect for Dr. West, but I think that Dr. West wants to love everybody, and everybody can't be loved. Everybody can't be embraced. Listen, I've lived in different places. I've been around different types of people my whole life. And in some places where I have lived, everybody couldn't be loved. Everybody couldn't be embraced. Some people you had to avoid, right? So like, I'm not going to open my arms to, for example, shunning and embracing. You're not going to open your arms to someone that you know is a stone cold killer because they might kill you. It's things like that. So you can't, the part here where he says that you're going to end up being just like them. No, because we're not in a position of power. They were able to do that because they're in a position of power. We have no power. We have no power. The other kids, they have no power. The black kids damn sure ain't got no power. Black people in this country damn sure ain't got no power. We are not in a position of power. Our country is giving $3.8 billion to Israel. Israel is telling our politicians what to do, who they should and should not vote for. Israel has organizations in the United States that is trying to get certain people in seats and get other people out. They have been able to physically remove politicians. They are in a position of power. We are not in a position of power. So when it comes to the dehumanization mainly comes from people who are in power, not those of us that are not. Let's let it continue here. Oh.
From the very beginning. If we shunned every American who supported the extermination of indigenous peoples, there's not a whole lot of folk left in the history of the If we shun the majority of Americans who supported the slave.
Nobody is saying to exterminate them, though. Nobody is saying that the people no one is saying exterminate them. That's not, I think he's taking this to a whole different level. What people are saying is we don't have to embrace people who are pro-genocide, and you shouldn't. We don't have to embrace people who are sitting up here saying it's okay that these kids are being killed. We don't have to embrace people who are sitting up here saying it's okay that these kids are starving because they're not Israeli and because they're Palestinian, that they're dehumanized. We don't have to embrace people who are doing those things, because guess what? If they say that and feel that way about the Palestinians, how do you think they feel about you? Think about this for a second. How do we think they feel about, I already know how they feel about black people. If they saying that about them, how do you think they feel about us? The moment we don't get on board with their supremacist project, they'll do the same to us. So no, this is not the people. No. Again, Dr. West, you can't love and embrace everybody. Some people, guess what? Some people are just evil. And this is just something I've learned with life. Not everybody can be loved. Not everybody, you can't give a hug to everybody. You can't shake everybody's hand. Some people you just got to walk away from. Let's let it finish here.
Black people, the lynching of black people, Jim Crow and Jane Crow, who's left? That's a small group.
No, this is a rhetorical evasion.
No, it's not. I'm speaking directly to your question. I'm just not agreeing with you.
Would you cavort and carouse? Would you cavort and carouse with a child killer? I'm curious. I don't think that's a trivial question.
No.
You wouldn't.
No. That's like
you would shun them, correct?
I would do more than shun, brother. I'd probably cuss them out and lose my Holy Ghost and kick their behind in the name of Jesus. But the point is, that's not normative. That's not the only model that I want everybody to proceed. I want to love my way through the darkness. I don't believe in shunning, even given the crimes that people commit. If you got a different view, that's cool. I'm with you. We in the same demonstrations. We go to jail together, and we have fascinating conversations on child killers and how you respond to child killers. That's all. Is that direct?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Dr. Wes, it's like some people you just can't open the door to. There are some people where you can open that door, and then there are others where you have to shut the door in their face. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as long as I see it this way, if you are choosing to embrace them or open your arms to them, why would they think that what they're doing is wrong? I mean, it just, I have no sympathy. I just don't. I have no sympathy, because my whole thing is, again, they are trying to make themselves look like the victim, when in the reality, they're not. Hell, not in this country and not in their country. We have made a terrible mistake. And I've talked about this before. We have made a terrible mistake, particularly in this country, and also seems like in the world globally, where this idea of the white minority has become, is supposed to be the most victimized group in the world. And that's not the case. And we can't forget that. We can't sit up here and forget what we went through in this country. We can't forget what Black people have gone through in this country. We can't forget what has happened to Africans in the Congo, in Sierra Leone. We can't forget. And we can't forget who provided the ships to get these things done. We can't forget who had the tools, the resources to help these things get accomplished. So the problem that we have is that I get it, you know, Dr. West, a Christian, I understand, I get it. I grew up in the church too. But at the same time, like, you supposed to, they have to change their ways first. It's just like when Fred Hampton, when he decided to let's organize with the young patriots, let's organize with the young lords, he told the young patriots they had to denounce their racism first. And not everybody that was a part of it agreed with it. JP and I were talking about this earlier. Not everybody that was a part of the Young Patriots were okay with that, so they left. And not everybody that was part of the Black Panthers even wanted to have this coalition, so they left. All right, it is what it is. But the point that was made clear is that Fred Hampton told them, you have to denounce your racism if we're going to work together for some type of class solidarity, because I'm not going to sit up here and organize with someone who doesn't even like my very existence because of the color of my skin. I feel the same way about this. You cannot sit up there and open your arms to embrace these peeps who are okay with the genocide, who applaud it, and you're not supposed to feel sorry for them because they feel shunned or excluded or whatever. They have to denounce their genocidal ways first. They have to denounce their genocidal supremacist ways first. Because there are plenty of anti-Zionists allies that have been out there protesting and are calling it out and have been calling it out since day one. But all the other Zionists who still applauding the genocide, that is not someone you open the door to. You shut the door in their face until they denounce that. That's how I see it. Everybody can't be loved. Again, I have a lot of respect for Dr. West, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's a generational thing. I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit more radical, but I ain't opening my arms to everybody. And some people don't like it when I say that, but that's the reality. Listen, I've had many experiences in my life, and I know from experience, I'm not opening my arms to everybody. You got to prove yourself to me. This is how people end up running with the devil. They just put the thumb up and say, okay, let's just go for it. Let's go do it. And you don't know what you're getting yourself into. And then you get in some situation, these people don't even want you around. Now you might lose your life. Don't even know what's happening. You got to prove yourself to me. You have to prove that you are an ally. So I learned from the past, you can't just link arms with any and everybody. You can't. They got me all worked up. I said everybody. I said everybody instead of everybody. Dr. West got me worked up. No, Dr. West, no, you can't be putting people in these types of situations, man. People got to prove themselves. It's a different day. Different day. Oh, man. Yikes. Oh, my gosh. Let me go to some of the comments. Thank you, Virtuoso. The media calls it collusion, but it's really class collaboration. Thank you, Kenman. Brother Cornell spewing brother stupid arguments. Yeah, I think Dr. West means well, but it's just you can't. Oh, no, man. Did I show the poll? Oh, he already said the poll. But yeah, like what Norm was saying. See? Israel, it says Israelis think IDF tries not to hurt civilians in Gaza. Like the polls, the numbers show you. What was the other one? Most Israelis not bothered by reports of suffering and famine in Gaza. No, I ain't trying to embrace that, man. I ain't trying to embrace these people, man. Let's go on here. Shout out to VSSE, who's been a member for 5 months. Preach, shame is a powerful tool. Thank you, Kinman. Brother Cornell, a jazz man who improvises BS. I think he means well, but he just got to understand you can't love and trust. You can't love everybody. Thank you, Mad Matt Chicago. To love God is to hate sin. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Sabby, for always helping me think. You're welcome, AJ. And thank you, Jasmine. Accountability before reconciliation, right? Jasmine knows what's up. And I think those are those all of the comments? Oh, Rockfin. Let's get the Rockfin one. Running with the devil. All right. Thank you, Roger. Hey, it's all good, Dr. West. We can love everybody. I would just tell them to just make sure you stay your ass over there. We can love their ass from afar. I can love you with your ass in prison. I can love you with your ass from another country to another planet, another galaxy, another universe. Just tell them to stay over there. That away. That away. And thank you, Goo. I wish UK does a united left with Corbyn and Galloway's Worker Party. That I could see that possibly working. Thank you, Mark. Hey, Sabby, that Cornell was afraid to alienate Zionists. Could that be why he says tolerate them? I don't know, dude. I don't know. That is it for me, ladies and gents. So I will see you guys again live on Sunday. And keep up the fight, man. Keep up the fight. Like, I know it's crazy times, but just keep up the fight and hang in there, folks. Hang in there. All right. Alrighty. Sunday we'll have Richard Wolf. So join me then. Adios.